It's another day, left jab, right jab, this is MMA. Mixed martial arts, quick body parts, undefeated when I pick 'em. Who the champ, who the victim, looking in my crystal ball, I predict the winner. Never stop fighting, if you lose, keep your chin up. Know how the game go, I'm a smart fella. Welcome to the show, this the MMA fortune teller.
The MMA fortune teller.
The teller.
What is up, you guys? Hermansson versus Vettori / UFC Vegas 16. We got a good card here. As a lot of you guys know, Marvin Vettori is stepping in to take on Jack Hermansson. Vettori was already training for an opponent, and Jacare Souza, in a fight that was only supposed to take place 1 week later. So I really think this is a perfect fight for Vettori to step in and take. Training for a similar type of opponent. And we're going to be getting into that fight here, of course, as we progress through the show. But, a very solid card here. There's some intriguing matchups throughout the card, some top-level talent, some top prospects, and we'll be getting into this entire card. Before we do that, you guys know we have to do a breakdown, but I also want to say this. If you guys could, if you guys are interested, I would like to let you guys know that I did start another channel, Sports Betting Weekly, and I'm going to put the link in the description here. If you guys could, man, help me out. Go over there and hit that subscribe button. I only got one video up now, but I'm going to be putting out a lot of content here as well. And basically what this channel is going to be is a channel that's focused on all other sports. If you guys are interested in betting on, the NFL, the NHL, Major League Baseball, basketball, you name it, all other types of sports. I will say mostly I do specialize in college football, the NFL, and Major League Baseball more than the others. But, of course, if I'm giving out plays here, I'm doing my due diligence, if I do reach out to the NBA side and all that. But keep an eye on my NFL plays, my college football plays, and my baseball plays, because I do put a lot of time into those sports as well. And I'm quite good at betting on those sports, also besides MMA. Of course, MMA is my real specialty. My videos will always be coming out here. I'll always have the content coming here. But Sports Betting Weekly, I'm going to be doing a lot of free picks there for other types of sports. So if you guys, follow me there, you'll be getting those free picks given out to you guys. And, if you want to just, help me out, it would be highly appreciated here. If we can get a subscribe over there, and we'll get the subscribes going over there on that channel, supporting the family over here. You guys know I always appreciate you guys. And if you do that, reach out to me, man. Maybe I'll look out. I'll give you guys a free play, for an MMA bet as well. If you guys show me that you went over there, subscribed. I got the YouTube, I got the Instagram channel also. As you guys see there, Sports Betting Weekly. And, please look out. Go give that a follow. And once again, man, always highly appreciated, on my side. I appreciate you guys. All right. So we got UFC Fight Night Hermansson versus Vettori. We'll be getting into that. Let's take a look back at the last card, though. We had UFC Fight Night, Anthony Smith versus Devin Clark. Of course, the main event fell through last minute. What a damn shame. I really wanted to see Blades versus Derek Lewis, but hopefully that fight is going to be rescheduled, it looks like. And, let's look into this card and let's see how we did from a betting standpoint. In the first fight, Nate Maness showed up, got that rear naked choke. We talked about Luke Sanders. Luke Sanders was looking good in the beginning of that fight, but this is a guy. He's very talented, but continuously has mental lapses in there. And that's what we talked about in the breakdown. So I saw pretty much everyone rolling with Sanders there. But of course, there was that opportunity that he was going to have a mental error like he did. He was going, shooting in like a bull and got caught with a shot and then got hurt and then eventually got finished there. That was a tough loss for Luke Sanders. I think that kind of dictates the way his career is going to go. So real tough loss for him. Nate Maness, a tough customer. He's calling the shots. He's already calling out, a fighter. I forgot who was he calling out there. Forgot he was calling somebody out, but I like that energy. Already calling somebody out. Comment below if you guys know who he called out. So big win for Nate Maness. And the next fight, the Chinese fighter Su really showed up. He looked like a sniper, landed that nice rangy left straight, finished Malcolm Gordon. We'll be keeping an eye on the Chinese fighter there, man. Very big performance for him. Gina Mazzani took out Rachel Ostovich. And, Gina Mazzani, not the most talented fighter. I'll look to fade her in certain situations, but we definitely had a roll with her against Rachel. Rachel's a tough chick, but she just doesn't have the skills really to hang in the UFC. She's really hanging on by her looks. She's now 4-6 as a professional, and I don't know, maybe the UFC keeps her around because of her looks. Anderson dos Santos, this fight really had upset all over it. If there was a dog that was gonna really pull off the victory there, Martin Day. I think he's a little bit of an overrated fighter. His striking's good, he's technical, but he has some holes in his game. Anderson dos Santos was able to take him down and eventually pulled off a guillotine later in the fight as well, later in the first round. So big win there. Jonathan Pierce took out Kai Kamaka. This was a fight I was really pulling for my boy Kai. He came on the show. I thought Kai would be able to handle business there, but Jonathan Pierce looked very good. He had the size on his side, the grappling abilities, and was able to really go in there and wear on Kai Kamaka and actually prevail with the grappling. And he did what he's done in a lot of his other fights. We talked about that. On the ground, he flattens guys out and he pitter patters them up. He beats them up, pulls off the sub on them, or he'll finish you with the strikes just by volume. So big win for JSP there. Good to see that from him. In the next fight, we had Norma Dumont, who I picked to beat Ashley Evans Smith. I saw a lot of people on Ashley, a lot of money coming in her at the end. I thought this fight was more close to a pick'em, but I was edging Norma to win the fight. I thought she'd be a little bit more fluid on the feet. Not a big fan of Ashley Evans Smith, so when I saw that -160 line, I was laughing at that. But Norma, that came later as the fight was starting up. But Norma looked very good, and we see that she's actually a legit fighter there. So good win there from Norma. Now we got my first play here, man. I did have a play on Spike Carlisle against Bill Algeo. I thought that Spike Carlisle was going to be able to use his grappling in the later rounds. We saw Bill Algeo in his last fight in the UFC, kind of get worn out in the third round by Ricardo Lamas and get taken down. We know Bill Algeo is very talented with his striking and his jiu-jitsu skills, but he's a little bit of not the most muscular, strong guy. And I thought Spike Carlisle would have came in good shape this time and been able to use his strength and been able to wear Algeo out in the later rounds. But that was not the case at all. Bill Algeo looked amazing in there. And so I took Bill Algeo to take out Ricardo Lamas. He looked good in the beginning of that fight, kind of faded. Then I went against him here, and now he shows up. But, it's the fight game. And Spike Carlisle, cool guy, took the loss on the chin. He's joking around on his Instagram. He said he'll no longer be fighting skinny guys named Bill. That's 2 losses. Obviously, he lost to Billy Q as well. So we took that loss there. We took it on the chin. We bounced back. We'll bounce back here in a minute, as you guys will see. Parker Porter took out Josh Parisian. Definitely a fight that I'm happy I stayed away from. I was kind of potentially looking to take Josh Parisian when that line was low. I thought that he would have. I thought he would have won this fight. I thought Parker Porter, Parker Porker, as some people like to refer to him. I have a buddy that threw a big play on Parker here and hit pretty big on that, man. Cashed him as a big dog, made some real money, and he was yelling Porker at the screen the whole time. But this was a fight. I told him, I was like, it's a heavyweight bout. You're getting a good line on it, but I thought Parker Porter just needed to prove something to me first. I know he's kind of fluid on the feet, but he carries so much extra weight. I thought he would have been the type of guy that would have faded in the later rounds, and he had to prove something to me first. Josh Parisian's a guy that's really shown me he's a legit fighter, and he showed it even in this fight. He had a lot of heart, but just got beat up in there. So I'm glad I stayed away from this fight. And then in the next fight, we had Miguel Baeza. This was my other play of the night, a 5-unit play. Miguel Baeza capitalized here. And Miguel Baeza is the truth. I love the line. I grabbed him early, -155. I grabbed him at -160. I love the line that I grabbed there. I was very, very happy when I saw this line early on. And then, as you guys saw, a lot of money started to come in Baeza by the time the fight came around. He got as high as like -230. So I was happy to have that locked in there. And I knew Miguel Baeza is the truth. Actually, I chatted it up with Miguel on Instagram. He's a really cool guy. He's down over here in Davie, not far from me. And this guy has a lot of talent. And he showed he's not just a striker. He can grapple as well. Sato has shown that he has some holes in his grappling. We saw Muhammad submit him as well. Baeza's on another level. MMA Masters, shout out to MMA Masters, an excellent gym there, and was great to bring that money in. Then in the newly added main event, or the newly marked main event, we had Anthony Smith taking on Devin Clark. Now this was a fight that I regretted not making an official play. I made like $100 on it, just a quick little small play here for me as I saw the line was -135. I threw $135 online, but I should have made this an official play. I probably should have put more money on this. Anthony Smith against Devin Clark. I was a little bit worried that, Devin Clark was going to be able to go in there, survive the early onslaught or the early grappling exchanges, and then maybe wear on Anthony Smith and kind of beat him up, as we saw in his last 2 fights, what happened to Anthony Smith. But really, my gut was telling me, the reason why I picked Anthony Smith to win the fight was telling me he's just a more proven fighter. Obviously, way more professional fights. He's going to have the edge with the grappling. I thought his striking would have been way better, even though we didn't really get to see the striking exchanges go down. But I was on Anthony Smith there, so should have made that an official play. But that's just one of those learning experiences I like to talk to you guys about. Certain fights that we should have targeted or certain fights we should have avoided. And obviously, the Spike Carlo fight was a fight I should have avoided. This guy has to prove that he has better cardio. Shows a lot of some skills and shows flashes, but needs to work on that cardio. So that does recap UFC Fight Night, Anthony Smith versus Devin Clark. And now you guys know what time it is. Let's get over to the upcoming event that's taking place this Saturday. All right, so here we are, UFC Fight Night, Hermansson versus Vettori. Let's scroll down to the bottom of this card and let's get things moving. In the first fight, we got Luis Smoka taking on Jose Alberto Quiñonez. As you guys know, this fight was initially supposed to take place just not too long ago. It was rescheduled for this card here. There were some issues, and obviously for those of you guys that were keeping track, my pick was Jose Alberto Quiñonez. I do feel that this fight is a close fight, but I like Jose here. I think Jose is a guy that has some heavy hands. He's a tough customer, and when he puts things together, man, he really he can go out there and he can hurt some opponents out there. You take a look at his losses that he's had. Two solid fighters. Lost to Sean O'Malley, Nathaniel Wood, Alejandro Turbo Perez, another good fighter. And, other than that, he's been handling business. So, he's a tough customer. Luis Smoka is a guy that, quite honestly, I'm not a big believer in his. He does have some skills. He does shine at certain times. But this is a guy that's also dropped the ball so many times. And, just there's some question marks in regards to him as far as I'm concerned. We've seen him submitted there by Schnelly and Casey Keeney. Shout out to Matt Schnell. And then, of course, who could forget the 4-fight loss streak that he had before getting cut. He did come back, won some fights and came back to the UFC. He does have some submission skills. But again, I'll never forget the beating that Matheus Nicolai put on him. Absolute beatdown there. That's where you really saw some red flags in his game. He's a little bit weak in the clinch, in his wrestling. He's not that strong, so he can be bullied out there. And I do think that Jose will be a little bit stronger in the clinch and whatnot. And then, and with the hands too, I wouldn't be surprised if Jose lands some heavy leather on him. But again, it is a close fight. It is a close fight though. But, as far as the line goes, it almost is a pick 'em. But, I would just maybe slightly edge Jose Quiñonez here, in my opinion, even though he's coming in, as a plus 115 dog. So, this was them just not too long ago, as I stated. These guys already just squared off, so we already get an early look at them facing off here. And, this is a fight that Alberto Quiñonez can really go out there and, he needs to prove something. He needs to get a win over a guy in Smoka. He really needs to go in there and handle business. And again, a tough Mexican fighter. You know what you're getting with these Mexican fighters, man. It ain't just like some how you want to say that? It's not some made up type of thing, like a stereo. I don't know if you want to say a stereotype or whatever, man. I think it's a fact, man. Mexican fighters are extremely tough. Show me a Mexican fighter that doesn't bring it, or that's not going to give you, some bang for your buck if you got money on them. This guy Quiñonez is going to be in there. He's going to be extremely tough. And speaking of tough Mexican fighters, we'll be talking about another one here, not too long. But I'm picking Quiñonez to win the fight. Not that the Hawaiians aren't tough either. Don't get me wrong. The Hawaiians are extremely tough as well. So that's going to be a good fight, man. Taking place in the bantamweight division. All right, so as I said, speaking of tough Mexican fighters, we got Gabriel Mugli Benítez taking on Justin Jaynes. This is a perfect matchup here. This has all the makings, of a very entertaining fight. Justin Jaynes brings the fight as well. Gabriel Benítez, the smooth southpaw fighter, man. I like his striking. He's very tricky on the feet. Or maybe I shouldn't say tricky, but he's a little unorthodox. Some of these fighters, in dealing with him, they get a little bit caught off guard. We saw it in the Sadiq Yusuff fight. If you guys remember that fight, Benítez was really giving him a run for his money. He was actually hurting Sadiq, and Sadiq is top-level talent. At the beginning of that fight, he was really landing a lot of shots. He showed he's extremely tough, has a good chin, up until the point he did get caught and got cracked and did get knocked out. But again, that shot, I mean, that shot's knocking out almost anybody. He got hit flush there. So don't get it twisted. Mugli does have a solid chin. Just has to avoid a big shot like that. But very smooth on the feet, decent takedown defense. He's competent on the mat. He knows what he's doing. He knows how to avoid being smothered. At least I'm pretty respectful of his skills as far as that goes. He's not some guy that's completely incompetent that's just going to get ragdolled. Justin Jaynes is a guy that definitely has power in his hands. We saw that in his UFC debut after coming off that big victory where he had the early knockout. He had a big fight here against Gavin Tucker. Gavin Tucker absolutely styled on him there. Justin Jaynes did have a couple of points in the fight where he looked good towards the beginning, but also looked to kind of have gassed out in that fight. It was a high-paced fight. It was a real war, but started to gas out there and eventually got finished in the third round. Frank Camacho was the fight I was talking about, his UFC debut where he got the early knockout, was a major upset. Justin Jaynes is an entertaining fighter that he's gonna meet Gabriel Benítez in the middle of the octagon, and this is gonna be an entertaining fight. I think Gabriel Benítez will be a little bit smoother on the feet, and I think the longer the fight goes, I think Gabriel Benítez will look a little bit better as the later rounds go. So I'm edging Gabriel Benítez to win this fight. The line almost a -2, minus 200 right now for Gabriel Benítez, minus 210. I mean, I'm not necessarily feeling that if you ask me. I kind of like maybe more value on Justin Jaynes there. I think this is going to be a good fight, but I do edge Benítez to win the fight. So that's the pick. I think overall, I think he wins that fight. All right, moving over to the featherweight division. This is an excellent fight. We talked about fights with some top prospects or guys that are really on the rise. Damon Jackson taking on Ilia Topuria. Another tough Georgian fighter. The Georgians, they've been doing their thing. Everyone knows that this year has been a year that you really don't want to bet against the Georgian fighters. Obviously, a lot of top talent out there. Matter of fact, let's see. Don't let me do that. Let me see something real quick. Yeah, let's see that actually. We can do that. Let's pull up some of these top Georgian fighters right now. Let's see. I thought it would have them ranked for me here. It just has them all, so I can't really go through them all here. But you guys know, we got Giga Chikazi. Is it Roman Dallas, who we're going to be talking about a little bit later, another tough Georgian fighter. You guys catch the drift, though, man. There's actually way too many here to go through them all. But you guys know some of the fighters that we're talking about here, man. Very an area of the world that's really producing some talented fighters. And if you ask me, this guy might be leading the way for them. The performance that he put on in his last fight against Youssef Zalal was very, very impressive. Youssef Zalal is a guy that I'm very high on. And to see the way that he went out there, out-grappled him, took him down. You don't see people taking down Youssef Zalal like that. Youssef Zalal is very tricky to get down. He's a very talented fighter. Topuria has good power in his hands, good ground and pound. He's undefeated. He's 9-0. And I think he's the truth. He's only 23 years old, too. I mean, imagine this guy when he's 27. I think this guy's a guy we're going to be talking about for quite some time. And then we take a look over to Damon Jackson. Damon Jackson's a guy that's been around the game for quite some time. He's 32 years old now. Just made his UFC debut and got a big win against Mirsad Bektik. If you remember that fight, Bektik was kind of winning at the beginning of the fight, getting some takedowns. But that's nothing new for Bektik. Bektik's a very talented fighter, very strong with his takedowns. But Bektik does have a problem fading in fights, and Damon Jackson was extremely tough in that fight and showed his grappling abilities. Almost pulled off a couple subs early in the fight as well, but eventually got that guillotine choke on Bektik as Bektik began to fade and gas out. But look at Damon Jackson handling business. As of recently, not losing fights here. Lost to Kevin Aguilar back in LFA. Aguilar was the LFA champ, legit fighter. Yancy Medeiros. So excuse me. Yeah, he did have an initial stint back in UFC. I forgot about that. I was thinking of that too. Did have a little stint back in the UFC back there, where he was having a tough time. Never got a victory. He finally got his first victory just recently. But Damon Jackson, man, great cardio. Really, really good cardio. And I believe he put some time in Colorado. From going into his last fight, I believe he was over in Colorado, if I remember correctly. So he might still be over there. And this is a guy that brings a gas tank that's going to be hanging around. This is one when he finished Bektik there in the late round. His corner was going nuts. They were pumped up, and imagine the feeling, finally getting your first UFC victory, and that was a make or break type of fight for him. But again, Ilia, this guy is the truth. This guy is the guy you want to keep an eye on. Now, as far as betting on him, if you're going to grab Ilia, you should have tried to grab him around at least a minus 200 line. As of right now, it's right around minus 235. But you could have got it right around minus 200, and I think that would be the way to go. And it's kind of a high line. Damon Jackson is a talented fighter. Wouldn't be surprised if he showed up, but I'm all over Topuria here. I think Topuria is, like I said, the guy that we got to keep an eye on. This is the guy that's legit. This guy, he has a type of potential. Who knows? The sky is the limit. Whereas I like to say the sky is not the limit. This guy can go past the sky. Why set limits, man? You're making a statement that, there's no limit, and then you say the sky is the limit. There's no limit for this guy. So it's going to be a good fight, though. I kind of want Damon Jackson to win that fight, bearing I don't have any action on Topuria. Wait and see how that goes. But other than that, I like Damon Jackson, and I would like to see him string off another victory. But again, Topuria is definitely the route I'm going. I'm picking him to win the fight. I'm not going to pick against him after the performance that he just put on. Again, extremely well-rounded, can grapple, can strike, great cardio, very fit. Coming in here with a 4-inch reach disadvantage, I don't think that'll be too much of an issue. Even though Jackson's the bigger guy, but I still don't think it'll be much of an issue here. I think Topuria, he stepped in there with some big guys before, and he's handled business. So that's the route I'm going. All right, this fight right here, Jimmy Flick versus Cody Durden. Some guys that are trying to continuously make a name for themselves. These guys, both coming off some big wins. Jimmy Flick, of course, he had the victory, on Dana White's Contenders series, where he showed this guy is an excellent submission artist. This guy can go out there, he can submit anybody. Even showed that he can hold his own on the feet too. He's crafty on the feet, and once he gets down to the ground, man, this guy will sub you, pulling subs left and right. In that last victory, he pulled off the arm triangle against Nate Smith. That guy, Nate Smith, was a tough fighter, was undefeated at the time. And Jimmy Flick, like I said, very impressive victory there. Now this guy, Cody Durden, is coming off that draw against Chris Gutierrez. If you guys remember that fight, that was a fight where he started off very, very good in that fight, looked amazing in the first round, scored a 10-8 round on all three judges' scorecards, and then lost the last 2 rounds. So that wasn't really a good look, the way he lost those last 2 rounds. Chris Gutierrez is a guy that's a very, very talented fighter. So even to put on that performance against him was impressive. Cody has good boxing, has some professional boxing experience, I believe, or at least some amateur boxing experience. So, he's definitely working on the hands. You see him here with Steve Mocco. Steve Mocco, I believe, was an Olympic caliber wrestler. I forget if he was an Olympic alternate or he was or if he was just straight up an Olympic wrestler. This guy is the real deal. I actually have a cousin that's trained wrestling with him quite a bit. Pretty cool situation. He's been able to spend a lot of time with him training. And Steve Mocco is a bear of a man. I've been in his presence a couple times. An excellent wrestling coach. So again, just getting that wrestling training with him is big time. This is top level training over here at American Top Team. And Cody Durden's over there brushing shoulders with those types of guys. And I think that Cody Durden has some real potential. I do think that Cody has some real potential. The only issue is I really like the submission skills I've seen from Jimmy Flick. Jimmy Flick is coming in as a relatively big favorite here, right around minus 170, minus 205 here on Bovada. A little surprised to see that. I mean, I think that, there's definitely a possibility for an upset here with Cody Durden being a very well-rounded fighter that can maybe hurt Jimmy Flick on the feet if he can keep the fight standing. Working on his wrestling abilities, maybe he can keep the fight standing and he can win this fight. I think that, I don't know. I like what I've seen from Jimmy Flick as well, though. Right now I'm edging Jimmy Flick to slightly win this fight, but I think the value may be on Durden. And, stay tuned to see my official pick on my Instagram. I might be picking Durden to win that fight. It's a very close fight. I like Cody, man. I kind of wonder, is Cody going to kind of fade in those later rounds again? And is Jimmy Flick going to be pushing the pace on him in those later rounds? And Jimmy Flick will submit you, not just in the first round, he'll submit you in the second or third as well. That's kind of what's making me lean Jimmy Flick right now, though. But, I'm excited for that fight. I want to see how that fight takes place. But we'll pick Jimmy Flick as of right now. I'm rolling with Flick. Excellent submission skills. And he pulls off all types of submissions too. I mean, look at his resume. It's not just simple arm triangles. This guy pulls off some nice, crafty submissions. Now, speaking of submissions, Jordan Leavitt taking on Matt Handsome Wiman. You know, the UFC fighter that's been around forever. If you guys are familiar with Wiman from back in his days, if you guys are relatively new to the sport and you've seen the performances that he's been putting on recently, don't let that be, don't let that sum up who he is as a fighter, because Matt Wiman was a guy when he was young and in his prime, he would go in there and just brutalize fighters, take them down, ground and pound them. He was really a fun fighter to watch, extremely tough, would just go straight across the octagon and start brawling it out. He did have issues with a lot of injuries, had a long time outside the UFC. He had some long layoffs, and now he's just trying to make a resurgence in his career. But it's the issue to me seems to be age. You know, he's 37 years old. He's getting beat by guys like Joe Solecki's the real deal, so don't let that be too big of a black eye. But the Luis Pena fight got finished. Luis Pena hasn't shown me much as of recently. This was a guy that was really overrated, in my opinion, over the last couple of years. He's really been dropping the ball. He does have some talent, but I don't know. You know, if Matt Wiman was really on his game, you should go in there and win that fight. Lost to TJ Grant. That was 7 years ago. That was the fight that really started that long layoff off. Or then he had one more fight with Isaac Valley Flag, the old Jackson Wink product. But let's get to the fight here. Jordan Leavitt, if you guys remember his Dana White's Contender Series fight, this guy showed that he's just nasty. Pulled off the submission over Luke Flores. Luke Flores, the guy that was returning for his second Dana White's Contender Series fight. Tough fighter, a pretty talented fighter. And Jordan Leavitt showed that, this is it's not just hype with him, man. This guy's a legit threat on the mat. He can submit anybody. He's a very intellectual type of fighter. And he likes to pull off that split, man, after he wins. It's quite funny to watch. So, and I want to do a little shout out to a guy, and what's his name over here? I'm doing a shout out and I forgot his name, man. This was the old Canadian fighter. He actually passed away. It was pretty sad. Ryan Jimmo. It was Ryan Jimmo, man. Ryan Jimmo. I was a big fan of this guy. He was a light heavyweight fighter. Had one of the nastiest, quickest knockouts you'll ever see in the light heavyweight division. That was the fight, and he did the split in front of everybody. This guy was awesome. Got hit by a car, man. Got killed. To all you guys that have been watching the UFC and MMA for a long time, you guys are very familiar with him. So big shout out to Ryan Jimmo, and rest in peace to him. But I had to give a shout out to him, being that, this is Jordan Leavitt's little thing. The line is high, man. Jordan Leavitt's coming in right around minus 400. I was a little surprised to see that, being that if Jordan can't pull off that submission, maybe Matt Wiman can grind him out. This is a guy that's a crafty fighter. Maybe he can make this fight last to the later rounds and can work his ground and pound and his wrestling. But straight up, I do got to say that Jordan Leavitt's going to be just the younger, better fighter here. He's going to be coming in with a 4-inch reach advantage. He's going to be a little bit more smooth, in my opinion, just a little bit more fresh and younger. And youth is on his side. Maybe a young prime Matt Wiman would give a Jordan Leavitt trouble here, would give him some trouble. But at the age that Matt Wiman's at and the performances that he's been delivering, I can't pick him here. But as far as the line goes, maybe there's value on Matt Wiman. I don't feel particularly confident taking a Jordan Leavitt at minus 400, minus 380, any of that. So, that's how I feel about that fight. And I'm rooting for Matt Wiman for sure. Would love to see him, finally get that return UFC victory there. All right, how about this fight? Gian Villante taking on Jake Collier. They're giving Jake Collier another opportunity. Of course, you guys remember the early knockout that he took against Tom Aspinall. But as we're seeing, Tom Aspinall is legit. He's going in there, he's knocking out dudes left and right. So, but Jake Collier came into that fight so overweight. This was a guy we used to watch fight, I believe, in the welterweight division, the middleweight division. Jay Collier was a guy, obviously there's some issues going on. There's some rumors that he's coming into this fight a little bit more in shape. They took that fight on short notice. He was kind of doing the UFC a favor. That's the reason why they're giving him another opportunity here against a guy in Gian Villante where, this has fight of the night written all over it one way or another. Even if it's two guys just sloppily brawling it out, I could see this fight being a fun fight to watch. Any fight Gian Villante is involved in ends up being an entertaining fight. Gian Villante coming off that loss, but actually looked pretty good against Maurice Green. I was quite impressed with the work he was doing on the feet. Was beating up Maurice Green. Eventually got caught in that tricky modified choke, that Ezekiel type choke from bottom that Maurice Green pulled off. But again, Gian Villante was looking good leading up to that finish. So I do think Gian Villante will go in there and handle business. I think that Gian Villante can use some of the striking that we saw here against Maurice Green. Use that evolved type of striking. Does have power in his hands, and hopefully he's taking this fight seriously and maybe loses a little bit of this weight over here. But again, look at the weight over here. I mean, this is a whole type of thing. This is a butterball. He looked like a turkey that was coming out the oven on Thanksgiving here, man. But was taking this fight on short notice, as we talked about. Let's see how these guys look on the scale. Let's see what these guys are looking like. Let's see who's taking this fight more seriously. But I'm taking Gian Villante to win the fight. But that is a fight you definitely want to keep an eye on as the weigh-ins start to take place. All right, we're hitting up the main card. This is a fight that I'm extremely excited for. Movsar Evloev taking on Nate Landwehr. Nate Landwehr is a guy that we've made money with. We rolled with him against Darren Elkins. Got a great line on that. It was a very entertaining fight. Was not overly impressed with his skills, though, if I'm being quite honest. That was a fight that was an absolute bloodbath, and it was a fight that Nate's hands were looking kind of slow, man, towards the end of that fight. I thought a lot of other guys would have easily finished Darren Elkins on the feet. If you're able to stuff Darren Elkins' takedowns and you're able to keep the fight standing, a lot of guys that are halfway capable will hurt him and finish him there, or at least just put a clinic on him. Nate DeTrain was landing some heavy shots, but the fight actually played out pretty closely. A lot of people were arguing that Elkins should have won that fight. I didn't think that was the case, and I was happy to collect my money when it was all said and done. But again, not overly impressed with the hand speed of Nate Landwehr. He's decently strong with his wrestling and whatnot. But now we're going to talk about a guy, and Movsar, Evloev, that is just top of the line, man. This guy is legit. I think this guy has all type of potential, man. I'm telling you guys right now, this guy is extremely technical with his hands, with his grappling. This is a guy that he'll be striking with you for 1 second, and then within the snap of a finger, boom, he's in on your hips, man. He's going to take your back, and he's taking you down. We saw him in his last fight, against a guy in, Mike Grundy. Mike Grundy is a guy that has some very, very good wrestling, and Evloev was able to wear on him eventually and even get some takedowns. So, and that's a guy, I think Grundy would work Nate Landwehr. Not that I'm trying to give you guys MMA math. I know a lot of you guys don't like that. I'm just saying Mike Grundy's a way more capable opponent, and Movsar was able to go in there and handle business. Movsar is a guy that keep an eye on him. 26 years old. This is a guy that has all the potential in the world. I expect him to go in there and run circles around Nate Landwehr. The line is high. I mean, he's creeping up to be a minus 600 at this point. He's minus 600 on certain books. You could have grabbed him at he's back to minus 600 in Bovada. He was minus 550. You wanted to grab him early if you could. I mean, that was the way to do it. If you could have found something to put with him back then or something. Line's a little high now. I know it's a little bit distasteful for some of you guys to touch lines like that, but I think that Movsar is just going to handle business. So, I mean, when it's all said and done, he's going to be the guy winning. Very tough Russian fighter. Was putting on some great fights over there in Russia. Training with American Top Team now. He's worked his game over to the American scene. And this guy has the ability to take over, in my opinion. Very, very good hand speed. Extremely tough. You could rock him. You could hit. You could try to hurt him. He's going to be in your face nonstop. He ain't going to put him away. He's going to keep coming. And this guy is game. So, obviously, I think you guys know who we're picking there. Movsar Evloev, who's 13-0 and will look to be 14-0. All right, now we talked about some of these top-level Georgian fighters. We got Roman Dolidze taking on Allan, the Brazilian fighter who was coming off a victory that eventually got turned to a no contest. due to the fact that he did test positive for performance-enhancing drugs. So keep an eye on that. So he's coming off a failed drug test. That was a fight where he did take out Mike Rodriguez, a talented fighter. John Allan was in his face that entire fight, getting some takedowns, pushing the pace on the feet. So he does step in there and he looks to really bring the fight. Roman is coming off a nasty knockout against Kadis Ibragimov, who loses to everybody, but let alone it was an impressive victory. You could definitely tell that Roman has some real striking. That's his bread and butter. He is a striker, and also looks to be competent with his grappling. You could just kind of get that feel when you watch him. He knows how to stuff the takedowns, and looks like he knows what he's doing in there. This isn't some guy that's a fish out of water that can strike, but it's going to get taken down and smothered, at least from what I've seen from him yet. But John Allan pushes the pace, and he'll be looking for takedowns, and he'll be pushing the pace with the striking as well. Again, man, the question mark is also, how is John going to look? What was the situation with that failed drug test? And that was him and Mike Rodriguez. But this is a good fight. This is a good test for both of these guys here. And I just like what I saw from Roman. We share a similar tattoo. I got the Greek key all wrapped around my arm too, so we share that. And that was a nasty knockout. But again, this is a guy that's talented on the feet. And I'm rolling with Roman here. As I'm sure a lot of you guys are as well. Who's taking John Allan? Let it be known right now. As far as the line goes, you can get Allan right around plus 140, 145. So maybe you see some value there. Allan is gonna be there. He's gonna be throwing down. He's gonna bring the fight. But I edge Roman as far as the skills go. All right, we got some flyweight females throwing down. Got Taila Santos taking on Montana De La Rosa. Of course, these fighters are both coming off opposite type of performances. Montana De La Rosa got absolutely bloodied up and worked by Viviane Araújo. And Taila Santos looked absolutely great against Molly McCann, was mixing it up with takedown striking, just showed to be on a whole nother level than Molly, which Molly was coming in as a pretty good favorite there, and a lot of people were high on Molly to win that fight. Molly does show to have some power in her hands, but Taila, in my opinion, is making some strides in her game. I definitely did not like her performance against Mara Barella. Mara Barella is a girl that, I'm not too high on, so that wasn't a good look. But at the end of the day, man, she bounced back with a solid victory against Molly McCann and really showed some potential. She's 16-1 as a professional. Montana De La Rosa is a girl that's shown some potential. She's only 25 years old, so she still has a lot of time to progress in her career. But like I said, got beat up in her last fight. She showed that she's extremely tough. She's definitely tough, and she's definitely working on some things with her striking. You saw her trying to maneuver and play with some different types of strikes, but it's really not all there right now. It's really not, in my opinion. They have the same reach, 68 inches, pretty much identical as far as the size goes. I think Taila will be a little bit stronger. She's a little bit more muscular than Montana, and Montana was a frustrating fight to watch in that last fight. She was getting bloodied up. She was on her back foot a lot. And, it's easy to say, push forward and try to get the takedowns, or push forward and try to just start throwing some hands. But, this girl, Vivian, was throwing bombs on her. So I really can't say I expect Montana to step into this fight and to pull off a victory. I feel like Taila is more likely to step right in there and continue the fourth round of this fight. I think Taila will mix it up and she'll put it on Montana. But again, Montana's young. She's only 25 years old. Maybe this fight was very motivating for her, and she comes back and pulls off the victory. I know that Montana has been training, or I believe she was training in her last fight. Yeah, Elevation Fight Team, which is it's a great fight team, and obviously they always come in with great cardio. So that's always an X factor. If this fight is a grueling fight, maybe Montana can start to wear on Taila in the later rounds, with Taila carrying some of that extra muscle mass. But I'm taking Taila Santos. Line's right around minus 200. I'm getting 2-1 odds. Sometimes you got to be careful with odds like that. Some of these female fights end up playing out closely. So, you're paying 2-1 and might come down to the wire. But Taila should handle business, in my opinion. That's how I see it going. And this was her just working Molly McCann. Like I said, doing whatever she wanted really in there on the feet and with the grappling. And then an extremely fit fighter. And we'll be rolling with Taila as our pick there. All right, we're getting to that co-main event spot. It's a cool matchup. We got OSP, Ovince St. Preux, taking on Jamahal. Another fight where OSP is taking on a young up-and-comer from the Dana White's Contender Series show. The last time he fought against Alonzo Menefield, you guys know OSP was an official play of mine. Grabbed him at dog odds. I initially wanted that fight the first time it came around. It was delayed with OSP testing positive for COVID. Fight was rescheduled, and I was still on OSP. People were second-guessing me at the time because, is the COVID going to affect him? We didn't really know how that all worked out, but he was fine, and I love that fight, going back to it. He eventually knocked Menefield out. But OSP is a guy that's really underrated a lot at times. He's extremely crafty. He's a big boy, 80-inch reach. He's a tough dude. We've seen him fight at the heavyweight division, and excellent submission skills. And then you got a guy in Jamahal that's very active, very fluid on the feet. This guy shows a lot of potential. Coming in as the favorite here. Very, very active. Quite possibly has the worst tattoo that I've ever seen ever. If you see, he has like the two little thumbs up. It's on his chest. I don't know what's going on there. It needs to be fixed up. But Jamahal is a big boy too, 79-inch reach. He's 6'4", so he's not going to be really outsized here. But OSP, in my opinion, is going to have the edge with the grappling and the submission skills and just the overall, the overall experience. And I'm kind of liking OSP here, but I can easily see Jamahal stepping in and working his striking. Like I said, a very athletic dude. He's a big boy. And a lot of people are high on this kid, but I'm going to roll with OSP here. OSP delivered, like I said, for me last time. Got that knockout. He has so much more experience, so many more professional fights. I like OSP to win the fight here. Jamahal is going to have to prove to me that he can go in there and take out OSP before I'm just going to go ahead and pick him to win that fight. So OSP is my pick here. Don't sleep on OSP, man. Even if you take a look at his losses, that was a fight against a guy who's a giant of a man, Ben Rothwell, close fight. Took out Michel Oliasejczak, a talented fighter, pulled off the Von Flue choke, or as a lot of people like to call it, the OSP choke. These are tough fighters here. Dominic Cruz, Nikita Krylov. Is Jamahal on that level? He needs to prove to me. Let's see. I mean, he's 8-0. Took out Klidson Abreu, who is a tough fighter. I like Klidson. Took out Darko Stozic. That was a fight. Darko gasses out against everybody. Really overrated, in my opinion. And then, of course, the Dana White's Contender Series fight. Alexander Popek. This guy's not on the level. Daquan Townsend has a victory over him. A tough guy, but again, a guy that's not on the level. OSP is on a different level than these guys here, in my opinion. So this will be a fight. And I'm edging OSP to win the fight. But again, Hill can go out there. He might be it might be a changing of the guard. Hill might be a little bit too quick for him, too fluid, and put a lot of volume out there and kind of outpoint OSP on the feet. Would not be surprised if that happens. And that brings us to the main event that I'm very excited for. Marvin Vettori versus Jack Hermansson. Top level European talent tier. We got the Italian fighter Marvin Vettori against the Swedish Jack Hermansson. Both these guys extremely, extremely talented in my opinion. Marvin Vettori is a guy only 27 years old. This guy, he showed that he can go the distance with Israel Adesanya and put on a very closely contested matchup, as we saw. Some people thought that he won that fight. I mean, it was a close fight. Israel probably should have got the nod there, but a good fight, a very closely contested matchup. And Marvin was very young at the time. Marvin has great cardio, puts on a pace like no other. I mean, he's a guy that really, really pushes the pace in there. He's going to be throwing so many strikes, in and out, pitter-patter type style. He's southpaw. He's going to keep coming, keep throwing strikes, mixing up the kicks, the body kicks, training at a King's MMA, one of the best gyms in the game, training with Rafael Cordero. This guy's grappling's coming around too. You saw him in his last fight, which was an official play of mine against Carl Robertson. A lot of people were high on Robertson. Robertson's a talented fighter. Marvin Vettori went in there, handled business. Robertson came in overweight. All of that didn't matter. Marvin Vettori is game. And Jack Hermansson is a very, very talented grappler. Jack Hermansson's a guy, you don't really see it. A lot of European fighters that have his style, man, very, very talented, wrestling, very strong with his takedowns. Can pull off heel hooks in there. You saw him pull off the heel hook in his last fight, against Kelvin Gastelum. So Jack Hermansson's tricky on the feet. He can go in there. He can submit anybody. I really believe that. So I think that Jack Hermansson can really give problems to Marvin if he's able to make this like a grueling type of grappling type style. Jack Hermansson can also hold his own on the feet. Underrated striking. This guy comes in phenomenal shape. Jack Hermansson's going to be in your face the entire time. The winner of this fight's really going to be pushing their way towards the top of the division, in my opinion. This is this is like a make or break type of fight, man. The winner of this is just, it's like the pressure is going to push out a diamond. I really think the winner is going to go on to do some big things, and even the loser can still go on and do some big things. But I think that Jack Hermansson needs to work in the grappling. I think if Marvin Vettori can stuff the takedowns and keep this a straight up striking match, I like the tricky southpaw on the feet. Training out of King's MMA, I like Marvin Vettori. Marvin Vettori has shown that he has very good takedown defense too, so I don't see why he wouldn't be able to go do that. But again, Jack Hermansson's a guy, you might see him pull an Amanari roll or some type of unorthodox takedown, try to grab a leg, get this fight down to the mat. And then again, though, Marvin Vettori has been working on his grappling as well, so don't sleep on his grappling. You saw him go out there and submit Carl Robertson. I think we're going to see a lot of strides in his game. As I talked about, Vettori was training for Jacare Souza, so stylistically it's perfect, jumping in and taking this matchup because he was already training for one of the most decorated BJJ mixed martial artists of all time in Jacare, so he's ready for that task. And I'm taking Marvin Vettori to win this fight. I think this is an extremely close fight. I like Marvin Vettori. And I've been interested to see your guys' thoughts, man. Let me know. Comment below who you guys are taking, because I know a lot of people are on Hermansson as well, and I see and I understand some of the points that they've been bringing up. But then you got the people on Vettori that think this guy is future title challenger all day, and we'll be seeing a rematch of him and Israel after he had the closely contested split decision loss to Israel. So a very exciting fight. I'm taking Marvin Vettori to win the fight there, and I'll be excited to see that fight start up. All right, guys, please do me a favor. As I said in the beginning of the show, man, please go give me a subscribe, man. Hit that subscribe over on my Sports Betting Weekly. You're going to be seeing videos put out very often over there, very quick little videos of certain plays that I'm targeting, certain sporting events that I'm targeting that you guys should be jumping on as well. All free picks there. Please go over and subscribe, man. If you guys don't mind, just help me out. Support me over here, for the time and effort I put in over here on this channel. I appreciate you guys, for everyone that goes out there and does that. I hope you guys all have an amazing week, and I hope you guys all have a profitable event coming up this Saturday. If you guys have any questions or anything, and I'm always available to be reached. If you guys are interested in my official plays for my MMA stuff here, you can always reach out to me, MMAfortuneteller@gmail.com. Instagram, MMAfortuneteller_, which is a great place to reach out to me. And then I also have Twitter, the MMA Teller. You can reach out to me, whatever's easier for you guys, any type of way. And I have a max bet. I have a 8-unit max bet that is going to be popping off here. So if you guys want a max bet play, a bet that I'm extremely confident in, come reach out to me. I'm going to be making some big money. If you guys want to make that money with me, reach out to me. And I already have another play locked in as well. And I'm looking to finalize a couple more plays for the card as well. So reach out to me. I appreciate you guys. Like I said, man, get this weekend. I know it's Tuesday. Usually I get these videos out to you Monday, but it's Tuesday. Hopefully your week's already on the right path. And keep that positive energy going. And let's kill it. All right, guys. Signing out. The Teller. The MMA Fortune Teller.
The Teller. The Teller. The Teller. The Teller. The Teller.